and then the trim, you usually just pops off, so you can pop it off. Maybe, I'm not sure about the C-Class, but maybe on the C-Class you'll have screws. This one had screws, like you see here and there's a couple of them, I think 4 in total. Take the screws out, and then you'll be able to pop this out. So just basically pull on it, pops out, and there's a connector, at least for this card, because it had the original LEDs. So that's the connector. Unplug it if you have it. If you don't, ignore it. And then you'll probably see something like this, like a short strip, like a long strip of, I don't know, like a plastic thing, right? And that's usually at the bottom. This is where this was, at the bottom. Take it off. You literally just like pull on it gently, and it pops off. See, like for example, you just pop it back in. Nice and easy. You just press on it, and it pops off. And then what we're going to be doing is putting that LED strip along the sides. Don't worry about it being wavy, because it's invisible. So no one's ever going to see it. You're not going to see it. Nobody's going to see it. Like, because only when you look underneath it, and it won't make a difference in terms of light distribution. Okay, so basically you then take the, let me take some LED here and just use it as an example with the red one. Take the red one and literally glue it like that to the bottom of the strip, right? And when you put the LED back up, when you put the strip back on, all of a sudden you have a red LED, right? And that's where you have the ambient lighting. And once you've done that, you need to connect it. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking these connectors. You don't really need them, to be honest. You can just, if you have an ambient lighting system, yeah, you could use it. If you don't have an original one, then just use the plugs or the cable. Okay, so this is the ambient strip. It's a CCFL strip, I think. That is stock on an S-Class. So if you look at the very end, this end right there, that's the LED. So that connector I ripped off because I installed these new ones, and I used the old connector, and it's just easier for me. So this ribbon connector at the end right there, that used to be there. Those 2 pins used to be there. Nothing else, just the pins. So I ripped those off because I won't be needing these anymore. But if you look at the very end of that is how this whole thing is powered. That's why they're so weak and they look so ancient. So if we pop this off, one sec. So if we pop that off, it's just a little metal clip. This is what the LED light looks like. It is tiny, really, really tiny, and really, really weak, and that's why it needs to be changed. Now, hypothetically, if you really didn't want to go through the hassle of doing what we did here with the LED, with the new strip, you could just replace this one LED. It's not that difficult. You can see it has 4 connections. Just basically take that off. You can buy these off eBay, or you can actually take it from an LED strip. I don't have one here to show you right now, but you can just literally take an LED strip apart, remove that SMD, that's what it's called, and just get a much bigger one. Is that going to help? Definitely. Probably, I don't know, 50%, maybe twice as bright, but it's still not going to be as uniform as this will. This is just pure perfection, really uniform. It looks like something out of a 2020 S-Class, right? This is going to be a kind of like a patch, not a complete fix. So I wouldn't recommend this, but it is incredibly easy compared to this. Overall, this whole thing took us roughly, I don't know, about let's say 40 minutes per door. 40 minutes per door. The first door was a bit more difficult because we just didn't know what we were doing or how we're doing it. But I would say the last 2 doors were much quicker. So it's a fairly easy process. You can probably do this in a day. I would, pick a weekend, do it on a Saturday or something like that, and you should be done quite quickly. The results are amazing, and it makes your car look much newer. So these are the finished ones. Right now I think the setting is 2, so they're quite weak, but even so, even on the lowest settings, these are like 5-10 times brighter than the original ones on the brightest settings. It doesn't look like that in real life. It's just one solid block, but I can see it's kind of fluctuating the light. And they're not visible, so even if you get them slightly wavy, you don't have to worry about any of that because it won't show. It's not going to make a difference. Like you cannot tell. So just you can, even if you have them wavy, you don't have, because I'm sure you might have noticed some of them are not perfectly straight. So you try your best, but it doesn't need to be perfect. And since they're tucked in there, you're not going to see them ever. So the cable's going to have two wires. One's usually red, one's usually blue. And you connect that's a 12 volt power supply. You connect this to your LED. So I'll make a video in a second, but basically you connect it right there. And this, you just need power from somewhere, anywhere. Okay, so I have my little cable. Alright, so this end, like I said, is the end that plugs into the original ambient lighting. You don't need to have this. So on yours, it's probably going to look more like this, right? And you need to connect this to the original cables. Like this is going to come with a cable, so it's going to be like that, right? It's going to look like that when you buy it. So you have to connect your two cables from the LED strip to this, which is going to be your power. Right, your power, wherever you want to take that from your seats, from your ambient lighting, wherever it comes from, this is going to be your power. So you connect these two cables with, like, its original power, right? You plug them in, color to color, same thing, and basically it's on. That's it, simple as that. All you need is a 12 volt power supply. You need 12 volts from somewhere. You can take it from anywhere, from your seats, from lights, from your headlights, from wherever the hell you want. Not a problem. If you want them constantly on and just want like a remote to turn them on and off, connect to the seats, because you always have power to the seats, well, most of the time, and you can turn them on and off whenever. But yeah, it's up to you wherever you want to take it from. I think you already have some sort of ambient lighting inside. I think it's like your foot lights. So if you have that, tap into that, and yeah, connect these two, and that's it. Now what we're gonna do is, because we cut this cable, right? So that's why we don't have an end. So I had to basically, this end looks like this. This is what the end looks like originally, and then I used a cutter knife, a box knife, and I cut some of this out, so I have access to those two prongs, right? And I'm gonna connect the cable, to these two prongs. That's what I'm gonna do now. Once that's done, I'm pretty much finished. All I need to do is glue this to the trim and put the door back on. Nice and easy. Okay, so this is a connection. It's a pretty shitty solder, but you can see how it's done. And then you use some black tape, put it over so you cover the contacts. Okay, and now we're gonna glue it onto the trim. And this is the, in a way, finished product, because it's taped up with electrical tape, and we're just gonna glue it now. Okay, so finish the other one as well. We're just gonna cut it to size. See, it's much longer. Cutting it to size, we're gonna glue it on using basically super glue. You need to use super glue for this. If you use those like caulking guns, like with that, it's not gonna work. You need to use some type of super glue, as it pretty much melts plastic instantly, and you get a good connection. Cool. So this is the finished product. Okay, that's the connector, and we're gonna put it in a minute. And here we have the pins, and this is a live 12 volt power supply, right? You can have this, like I said, from your seats, whatever you want. So I'm just gonna power it up, see if it works. Oops, other way. That's another thing. If you like get it wrong, like the polarity, sorry, it's not a big deal. Nothing's gonna happen. It's not gonna burn. Second. There we go. So it lights up. It's good. Always check it. Always check it beforehand. Make sure that it works, because sometimes you're gonna have like dead LEDs, and then you have to take it all off. But yeah, this is it. All done. Next step is putting it back on. Also, when you cut it, there are tiny little signs that you can kind of like see.
Those black marks.
Black marks. It's not as purple, and that's where you can cut it. You can't if you cut it in the middle, it's not gonna break, but it's not gonna light up. So if you cut it here, this portion's not gonna light up. It's gonna light up in every section. So you have to cut off using these sections. They're about 5 centimeters apart, or maybe even less. Three. There we go. 3 centimeters apart. So you can get quite creative. Not a big deal. It shouldn't really affect anything that you do with the. So now we're gonna take them and literally just plug them in. And also, that's the connector, right? That's the original one. So I'm gonna plug that into that, and that's it. On off. Now, obviously, if you don't have a connector, then you can just, instead of that cable, you pull your own cable, like I said. Now, how do you run that cable? It's not that complicated. So let's say you take your power supply from the seat or from the light. You see that light? Take your power supply from that light and you run it along the side here. And then this pops out, for example. You can go underneath it, then underneath this, and then just underneath this through here. And then you pop a cable out. So just basically take the cable out. It's not going to affect anything at all. Your car's still going to be waterproof and everything. You pop it out, and then it goes to the bottom of the door. So this is the door panel, which I just popped out, right? You put the cable through there, and that's where you come from the bottom all the way to the top, and right here. So it's very, very easy. If you don't have a hole for, you probably will have a hole for the cable. You can just drill one. I mean, it doesn't affect anything. As long as it's behind the trim, you're good to go. So yeah, now we're just gonna put them on. It's actually the other side. That side. So both doors, I'm gonna pop them in. And also taking the door cards is quite easy. So I know it looks complicated, but trust me, it isn't. It's literally plug and play. Okay, so this is the end result. This is what it looks like now. 1 second, there we go. The difference is massive, really, really big. Super obvious. Super powerful in terms of strength. Obviously, you can choose whatever color you want. This is kind of a reddish towards purple. You can choose RGB if you want, but yeah, it's a lot more complex in terms of wiring, so we just went with this. Really happy with the results. Completely changed the car.